Hello, dear friends, and welcome once again to the English Learning Platform, your trusted companion on the journey toward fluency and confidence in English. Over the course of our previous explorations, we have delved into the remarkable entrepreneurial sagas of two titans of modern innovation, Steve Jobs, whose relentless vision and uncompromising pursuit of elegance transformed Apple from a fledgling garage operation into a global beacon of design and technology, and Jeff Bezos, the architect of Amazon, who began with an online bookstore in a modest Seattle garage and, through audacious ambition and an unwavering focus on long-term customer obsession, reshaped the very landscape of global commerce and consumer expectations. These narratives have captivated us not merely because of their scale, but because they embody the timeless principle that extraordinary outcomes often emerge from modest origins, provided one possesses the foresight to think expansively and the tenacity to execute relentlessly. Today, we turn our attention to yet another extraordinary figure in the pantheon of business builders, Sam Walton, the unassuming founder of Walmart. Born on March 29, 1918, in the small rural town of Kingfisher, Oklahoma, a place emblematic of the American heartland where vast plains stretch under wide skies and self-reliance is woven into the fabric of daily life, Sam Walton embarked on a path that would ultimately redefine retail on a planetary scale. From humble beginnings, he launched his venture with just one modest variety store in the rural environs of Arkansas. Through an extraordinary combination of tireless hard work, astute strategic insights, an unwavering commitment to operational efficiency, and, perhaps most crucially, a genuine emphasis on the well-being of both customers and employees, he elevated that single outlet into what has become the largest retail corporation in the world. As of early 2026, Walmart stands as a colossus. It operates more than 10,800 stores and clubs across 19 countries, complemented by robust e-commerce platforms that serve hundreds of millions of customers annually. Each week, approximately 270 million shoppers and members pass through its doors or engage online, drawn by the promise of value, convenience, and reliability. The company employs roughly 2.1 million associates worldwide, making it one of the largest private employers on Earth, and generates annual revenues that consistently place it among the foremost corporations globally. These figures are not mere statistics, they represent the tangible culmination of a vision that prioritized accessibility and affordability for everyday people over ostentatious displays of corporate grandeur. At the heart of this story lies a powerful, enduring theme, the profound potential of starting small while maintaining an unrelenting focus on keeping prices low in order to achieve monumental success. Sam Walton demonstrated time and again that scale need not come at the expense of simplicity or integrity. Complementing this is his deep conviction in the transformative power of exceptional customer service and genuine teamwork. He operated on the principle that treating customers as though they were cherished family members while simultaneously nurturing a supportive and motivated workforce creates a virtuous cycle of loyalty, innovation, and sustained growth. Throughout his career, Walton encountered formidable obstacles, intense competition from established chains, economic turbulence, logistical complexities in rural markets, and the inherent risks of aggressive expansion. Yet his steadfast persistence, coupled with a set of disarmingly straightforward guiding principles, such as the customer as boss, enabled him to prevail where others faltered. In this lesson, we will engage with intermediate to advanced English at the C1 level, employing natural, idiomatic language that reflects real-world usage among proficient speakers. The narrative unfolds through authentic-feeling dialogues, vivid descriptive passages, and carefully contextualized expressions that appear repeatedly to reinforce retention. Among the most useful and frequently recurring idioms and phrases you will encounter and master are go the extra mile, to exert additional effort beyond what is strictly required, keep it simple, to avoid unnecessary complexity in favor of clarity and effectiveness, and treat others right, to consistently behave toward people with kindness, fairness, honesty, and empathy, recognizing that such conduct fosters trust and reciprocity. These expressions, along with others we will introduce, are not abstract. They are woven organically into Sam's philosophy and actions, making them memorable and immediately applicable to both business contexts and everyday life. To facilitate your learning, here are the 8 key vocabulary items and phrases that form the linguistic backbone of this story. Each is presented with a precise definition and an illustrative example drawn directly from the narrative or its spirit. 1. Customer is boss. Phrase. The fundamental idea that in any successful business, particularly retail, the customer ultimately holds the decisive power, dictating outcomes through their choices and spending habits. Example. In retail, remember the customer is boss. They choose where to shop, and their loyalty or defection can make or break a company. 2. Go the extra mile. Idiom. To voluntarily invest additional time, effort, or care beyond the minimum expectations in order to exceed satisfaction. Example. Sam always went the extra mile to make customers happy, whether by personally assisting with hard-to-find items or ensuring a warm greeting at every encounter. 3. Keep it simple. Phrase. To deliberately eschew overcomplication, favoring straightforward approaches that enhance accessibility, understanding, and efficiency for all stakeholders. Example. Good businesses keep it simple so everyone understands, from the newest associate to the most discerning shopper. 4. Treat others right. Phrase. To consistently behave toward people with kindness, fairness, honesty, and empathy, recognizing that such conduct fosters trust and reciprocity. Example. If you treat others right, be they customers, colleagues, or suppliers, they will support you through challenges and celebrate your successes. 5. Roll up your sleeves. Idiom. To prepare oneself mentally and physically for intensive, hands-on work, especially when difficulties arise or decisive action is required. Example. When problems come, roll up your sleeves and fix them. Complaining solves nothing, but determined effort does. 6. Beat the competition. Phrase. To outperform rival businesses through superior strategy, execution, value proposition, or innovation. Example. Low prices combined with meticulous attention to inventory and customer needs helped Walmart beat the competition in markets others overlooked. 7. Build from the bottom up. Idiom. To construct or develop something gradually and organically, beginning with the most fundamental elements rather than imposing grand structures from the outset. Example. Sam built Walmart from the bottom up, one store at a time, allowing each success to fund and inform the next. 8. Stay humble. Phrase. To remain modest, grounded, and unpretentious even amid extraordinary achievement or wealth, resisting the temptations of arrogance or entitlement. Example. Even when rich and influential, Sam stayed humble and drove an old truck, reminding everyone that true success lies in service, not status. With this foundation laid, let us now immerse ourselves in the story proper. Picture the American landscape of the 1960s, small towns dotting the Midwest and South, where communities valued practicality, neighborly interactions, and getting the most value for every hard-earned dollar. It is here, amid these unassuming surroundings, that Sam Walton's extraordinary journey truly begins.
Let's begin the story. Imagine the 1960s in small-town America. The story. Sam Walton was born on March 29, 1918, in the modest farming community of Kingfisher, Oklahoma, a quintessential small-town setting in the American Midwest, where the landscape is dominated by endless fields of wheat and corn, and life revolves around the rhythms of agriculture, family, and hard-earned self-sufficiency. His parents, Thomas Gibson Walton, a multifaceted man who worked variously as a banker, farmer, farm loan appraiser, real estate agent, and insurance provider, and Nancy Lee Lawrence Walton, instilled in Sam and his younger brother Bud the core values of diligence, resourcefulness, and independence. The family frequently relocated during Sam's childhood as Thomas pursued various opportunities, exposing the boy to the uncertainties of rural American life in the interwar period, a time marked by economic volatility, the lingering effects of World War I, and the onset of the Great Depression. These early experiences forged in Sam an acute awareness of financial precariousness and the importance of generating one's own income. From a remarkably young age, Sam demonstrated an entrepreneurial spirit that would define his entire career. He took on chores that generated pocket money, milking cows before dawn, delivering newspapers on foot or by bicycle through dusty country roads, and selling magazine subscriptions door to door to neighbors and townsfolk. These endeavors were not mere childhood tasks. They represented Sam's first foray into the world of commerce. As he later reflected in his autobiography, Made in America, 1992, "I liked making money. It gave me independence." This simple statement encapsulates a profound truth about his character. Financial autonomy was not merely desirable, but essential to his sense of self-worth. By his teenage years, these small ventures had taught him the fundamentals of sales, persuasion, persistence, and understanding customer needs, while also cultivating a lifelong habit of frugality and a keen eye for opportunity. After completing high school, where he excelled academically and athletically, earning recognition as an Eagle Scout and participating vigorously in sports, Sam enrolled at the University of Missouri in Columbia, Missouri. He graduated in 1940 with a bachelor's degree in economics, a field that provided him with analytical tools to understand markets, pricing, and consumer behavior. Immediately upon graduation, he secured a position as a management trainee at a J.C. Penney store in Des Moines, Iowa. This entry-level role, though modest, immersed him in the intricacies of department store retailing, inventory management, customer interaction, visual merchandising, and the relentless pace of daily sales targets. Despite his enthusiasm and natural salesmanship, he consistently outperformed expectations in commissions. His supervisor once remarked that his notoriously poor handwriting on sales slips might disqualify him for a long-term career in retail. Walton took the criticism in stride, focusing instead on his strengths, building rapport with customers, and driving volume through attentive service. World War II interrupted this early trajectory. Drafted in 1942 at age 24, Sam served as a captain in the U.S. Army Intelligence Corps, primarily in a stateside communications role rather than overseas combat. During his military service, he married Helen Robeson in 1943. Helen would become his steadfast partner in both life and business, offering pragmatic counsel and unwavering support throughout his career. Discharged honorably in 1945, Sam returned to civilian life eager to apply his accumulated knowledge. With a young family to support and a burning desire for independence, he rejected the security of corporate employment in favor of entrepreneurship. In 1945, at the age of 27, Sam made his boldest move yet. He purchased a Ben Franklin variety store franchise in Newport, Arkansas, a small delta town of roughly 7,000 residents along the White River. The acquisition cost approximately $25,000, equivalent to around $436,000 in today's dollars, financed largely by a $20,000 loan from his father-in-law, Leland Robeson, supplemented by $5,000 of his own savings from military service and prior work. The Ben Franklin chain, operated by the Butler Brothers Company of Chicago, specialized in affordable five-and-dime merchandise, household goods, notions, toys, stationery, and sundries, priced at a nickel or a dime. Walton underwent 2 weeks of formal training in Arkadelphia, Arkansas, before opening the store on Front Street on September 1, 1945.
From the outset, Sam rolled up his sleeves, literally and figuratively, immersing himself in every aspect of operations. He greeted every customer personally with genuine warmth and a broad smile. "Hello, welcome to the store. Need help finding anything?" This personal touch, combined with meticulously stocked shelves and aggressively low prices, quickly differentiated his store from competitors. He experimented with promotional strategies, such as deep discounting on high-turnover items, learning an early and pivotal lesson: by reducing markups and increasing volume, overall profits could soar. Sales grew rapidly, from an initial $80,000 annually to $225,000 within a few years, making his Newport outlet the top-performing Ben Franklin franchise in Arkansas and one of the most successful in the region. Yet success bred its own complications. The store's lease, which Walton had signed without securing a renewal option, a costly oversight he later acknowledged, left him vulnerable. When the lease expired around 1950, the landlord, recognizing the store's profitability, refused to renew. Instead, he reclaimed the premises to hand over to his own son, who intended to operate a similar variety store there. This development was a devastating blow. As Walton recounted, that hurt. The loss of the location meant forfeiting not only the physical space, but also the substantial goodwill and customer base he had painstakingly built over 5 years. Forced to liquidate fixtures and inventory at a disadvantage, Sam and Helen faced a stark choice: retreat or regroup. Characteristically, Sam chose the latter. Rather than succumbing to bitterness, he framed the episode as a valuable, albeit painful, lesson in the importance of contractual foresight and resilience. "This is just a lesson," he told his wife Helen. "We'll start again." Demonstrating remarkable determination, the couple relocated approximately 100 miles northwest to Bentonville, Arkansas, an even smaller town of about 3,000 inhabitants, chosen partly because Helen preferred quiet small-town living and Sam appreciated the area's access to varied hunting seasons across state lines. In 1950, with assistance once more from his father-in-law, Sam acquired the Harrison Variety Store on the downtown square. After a swift one-day remodeling sale on May 9th, he reopened it as Walton's Five and Dime. Though still affiliated with Ben Franklin, this store bore his own name for the first time, a symbolic assertion of independence. It pioneered self-service concepts in the region, one of the earliest such stores nationwide, allowing customers to browse freely rather than relying on clerks to fetch items. Sam adorned the storefront with prominent signage proclaiming "everyday low prices," a phrase that would become synonymous with his future empire. Shoppers began traveling from surrounding communities, drawn by the value proposition. "Why pay more somewhere else?" he would ask rhetorically, engaging customers in friendly conversation. This modest Bentonville outlet represented the true seed of what would eventually grow into Walmart. It embodied Sam's emerging philosophy: prioritize the customer through low prices, attentive service, and operational simplicity. The setback in Newport, far from derailing him, sharpened his resolve and taught him that adversity, when met with persistence, can propel one forward rather than hold one back. In these early days, the foundations were laid, not merely for a business, but for a mindset that viewed every challenge as an opportunity to refine strategy, build character, and ultimately achieve greater scale. By the early 1960s, Sam Walton had already established a solid foundation in retail through his network of variety stores. Along with his brother Bud, he owned and operated around 16 outlets, primarily Ben Franklin franchises scattered across Arkansas, Missouri, and Kansas,
plus one independent store in Fayetteville, Arkansas. These operations, while profitable, generated annual sales of roughly $1.4 million by 1960, a respectable figure for a regional chain, but one that left Sam dissatisfied. He sensed that the traditional variety store model, with its modest margins and limited scale, was reaching its ceiling. The real opportunity, he believed, lay in the emerging discount retailing format. Larger stores offering a broad assortment of merchandise at drastically reduced prices, relying on high volume to compensate for slim per-item profits. Sam's curiosity drove him to extensive travel during this period. He frequently embarked on road trips, often hundreds of miles, to visit pioneering discount operations in other states. He studied chains such as Ann and Hope in Rhode Island, a pioneer of the self-service discount model, FedMart in California, founded by Sol Price, whose emphasis on low overhead and bulk buying deeply influenced him, and others that were experimenting with the big box concept. These excursions were not casual sightseeing, they were meticulous fact-finding missions. Sam observed layouts, pricing strategies, inventory turnover rates, and customer behaviors with the intensity of a scholar. He returned to Bentonville brimming with ideas, sharing his insights with Helen over late-night discussions. "They sell everything cheap," he told her excitedly. "Why not do that here, in our own backyard, serving the small towns that the big players ignore?" This conviction crystallized into action in 1962. At the age of 44, Sam Walton took the decisive step of launching his own discount chain. On July 2, 1962, the first Walmart Discount City store opened its doors at 719 West Walnut Street in Rogers, Arkansas, a growing but still modest community of about 13,000 residents, just a short drive from Bentonville. The opening was unpretentious. No lavish advertising blitz, no celebrity endorsements, just a simple sign proclaiming, "Save money, live better," a slogan that would endure and evolve into Walmart's enduring brand promise. Inside, the emphasis was on functionality over flash. There were no ornate fixtures, elaborate displays, or luxurious ambiance, just clean, well-organized aisles stocked with everyday essentials, clothing, household goods, hardware, toys, health and beauty products, and groceries, at prices significantly lower than those found at traditional department stores or local merchants. Sam kept it simple, a principle he drilled into his small team of employees from day one. "Keep it simple," he instructed them firmly. "Stock what people need, price it low, and smile." The store adopted a no-frills approach, bare concrete floors in some areas, exposed ceiling beams, and fluorescent lighting to minimize overhead costs. Merchandise was stacked high on metal shelving to maximize space efficiency and encourage impulse purchases. Self-service was the norm. Customers navigated freely, selected items themselves, and checked out at central registers, reducing labor expenses while empowering shoppers. This model drew inspiration from the discounters Sam had studied, but was adapted ingeniously to the realities of rural America. Shorter supply chains to nearby suppliers, a focus on American-made goods, a point of pride for Walton, and an unrelenting commitment to everyday low prices, rather than sporadic sales. Opening day proved an immediate success. Crowds gathered, curious about the promise of genuine bargains in their own community. One customer, eyeing the shelves skeptically, approached Sam directly and asked, "Is everything really cheaper?" Sam, ever approachable and hands-on, replied with characteristic warmth and confidence, "Yes, ma'am. We buy big and sell low. The customer is boss." This exchange encapsulated his philosophy. Success depended not on outsmarting the customer, but on earning their trust through transparency and value. Word spread quickly through the tight-knit networks of small-town Arkansas. Families drove in from surrounding areas, drawn by prices that could save them meaningful money on routine purchases, savings that mattered deeply in an era when household budgets were often stretched thin. Yet the landscape was far from empty. Competition in the discount sector was intensifying rapidly. That same year, 1962, marked the birth of several major players in the discount retail revolution. Kmart, launched by S.S. Kresge in Garden City, Michigan in March. Target, opened by Dayton's in Roseville, Minnesota in May, and others testing the waters. These chains, backed by established corporate parents with deep pockets and national ambitions, targeted urban and suburban markets with larger stores, broader advertising, and aggressive growth plans. Kmart, in particular, expanded swiftly, opening dozens of locations within a few years while benefiting from economies of scale and sophisticated merchandising. Sam viewed these rivals not with fear, but with pragmatic respect. He made a habit of visiting their stores incognito, notebook in hand, analyzing what worked and what could be improved. What can we do better became a constant question posed to his team. Walmart's early differentiation emerged from deliberate strategic choices tailored to underserved territories. Rather than competing head-on in metropolitan areas, Sam focused on small towns with populations under 25,000, places where big chains saw insufficient potential and local merchants lacked the buying power to match prices. This build-from-the-bottom-up approach allowed Walmart to establish dominance in rural pockets before expanding outward in concentric rings from its Arkansas hub. Stores stayed open longer hours to accommodate working families, offered a wider product assortment than traditional variety stores, and prioritized relentless cost control, negotiating hard with suppliers, minimizing waste, and reinvesting profits into new locations. Central to this growth was Sam's emphasis on people. He fostered a culture where every associate felt invested in the mission. "One happy customer tells 10 more," he often reminded his team, underscoring the power of word of mouth in close-knit communities. Employees were encouraged to suggest improvements, rewarded for good performance, and treated with the same respect afforded to customers. This relational approach, rooted in treating others right, created loyalty that translated into consistent foot traffic and organic expansion. In those formative years, the first Walmart store served as a living laboratory. Sam experimented constantly, tweaking layouts, testing private label products, refining inventory to eliminate slow movers, and honing the low-price promise. Challenges abounded: supply chain logistics in remote areas, thin margins that left little room for error, and the constant pressure from better-resourced competitors. But Sam's persistence turned obstacles into advantages. By proving that discount retailing could thrive in small-town America, he laid the groundwork for what would become a national, then global phenomenon. The birth of Walmart in 1962 was not merely the opening of one store, it was the ignition of a retail paradigm that prioritized accessibility, efficiency, and customer sovereignty above all else. By 1969, Walmart had evolved from a single pioneering discount store into a burgeoning regional chain. The company operated 18 Walmart stores, primarily in Arkansas and neighboring states, alongside a handful of remaining variety outlets. Annual sales had climbed into the millions, reflecting the accelerating momentum of Sam's low-price, high-volume model. This growth phase marked a pivotal transition. Walmart was no longer a local experiment, but a viable enterprise with proven scalability. Recognizing that organic cash flow alone would constrain further expansion, new stores required significant capital for real estate, inventory, fixtures, and working capital. Sam made a strategic decision that would profoundly shape the company's trajectory. In 1970, Walmart went public, offering shares to the broader investment community for the first time. The initial public offering, IPO, occurred on October 1, 1970, with stock priced at approximately $16.50 per share. Adjusted for subsequent splits, this represented remarkable long-term value for early investors. The move was deliberate and pragmatic. "This will help us grow," Sam explained to potential investors during roadshows and presentations. Proceeds from the offering funded aggressive store openings, the construction of distribution infrastructure, and the hiring of additional talent. The listing, initially over-the-counter before moving to the New York Stock Exchange in 1972, provided not only capital but also credibility, attracting institutional interest and enabling Walmart to compete more effectively against larger publicly traded rivals like Kmart. By this point, the company had established a home office and its first distribution center in Bentonville, Arkansas, streamlining logistics and reducing costs in ways that smaller operators could not match. Expansion accelerated dramatically in the ensuing years. New stores proliferated across Missouri, Oklahoma, and adjacent territories, with the chain pushing into new markets such as Tennessee, 1973, Kentucky and Mississippi, 1974, and Texas, 1975. By the mid-1970s, Walmart boasted over 100 locations, employing thousands and generating hundreds of millions in revenue. This rapid footprint growth was underpinned by Sam's core rules for enduring success, principles that he articulated repeatedly in meetings, memos, and informal conversations with managers and associates alike. Foremost among these was the innovative practice of sharing profits with employees, whom Sam insisted on calling associates to emphasize partnership over hierarchy. Profit-sharing plans, introduced progressively during this era, allowed eligible associates to receive a portion of the company's earnings, often distributed in the form of Walmart stock options or deferred contributions. This approach aligned incentives. When the company thrived, so did its people. Sam believed deeply that ownership fostered accountability and motivation. Another pillar was treating others right, actively listening to ideas from the front lines, valuing input regardless of position, and cultivating an environment of mutual respect. If you want a successful business, your people must feel that you are working for them, not that they are working for you. This servant leadership ethos permeated the culture. Sam embodied these values personally. He maintained an extraordinarily hands-on style, frequently visiting stores unannounced. One longtime cashier vividly recalled such an encounter. "Sam came to our store, shook hands, asked how we were doing. He remembered my name." These interactions were not performative. They reinforced a flat organizational structure where every associate's contribution mattered. In an industry often characterized by high turnover and detachment, this relational focus built extraordinary loyalty and operational insight. Associates on the floor spotted trends, inefficiencies, and customer preferences long before headquarters analyses could. Yet prosperity did not insulate Walmart from adversity. The 1970s and 1980s brought macroeconomic headwinds that tested the company's resilience. The 1973-1974 oil crisis, triggered by OPEC embargoes, sent energy prices soaring, inflating transportation and heating costs, while simultaneously eroding consumer purchasing power amid stagflation. Broader economic slowdowns followed, with recessions in 1980-1982 and persistent high inflation eroding margins across retail. Some Walmart stores, particularly in economically vulnerable rural areas, experienced temporary sales declines or losses. Supply chain disruptions compounded the pressure. Higher fuel costs increased trucking expenses, while suppliers passed on rising raw material prices. Sam's response was characteristically disciplined and unyielding. "We have to stay lean," he instructed managers during this turbulent period. He enforced rigorous cost controls, eliminating waste in every conceivable area, from packaging to energy use, while refusing to compromise on the everyday low-price promise. To underscore humility and shared sacrifice, Sam continued driving his old pickup truck, a battered, unpretentious vehicle that became legendary within the company. "Stay humble," he urged. "Don't act like a big shot." This personal example set the tone. Executives flew coach, stayed in budget motels during travel, and avoided ostentatious displays of success. Such frugality was not mere symbolism. It preserved capital for reinvestment and signaled to associates and investors alike that Walmart remained committed to its founding ethos amid prosperity. These challenges, while formidable, ultimately strengthened Walmart's competitive moat. The company's focus on operational efficiency through better inventory management, centralized distribution, and relentless negotiation with vendors allowed it to weather economic storms more effectively than many peers. Stores in small towns, where alternatives were limited, retained customer loyalty through consistent value. Profit sharing continued unabated, reinforcing morale during lean times. By the late 1980s, as the economy stabilized, Walmart emerged not just intact, but poised for national dominance, with hundreds of stores and billions in sales on the horizon. This chapter of Walmart's story illustrates a profound truth. Sustainable growth demands not only vision and execution, but also adaptability in the face of external pressures. Sam's rules, sharing success, treating people with dignity, going the extra mile, and maintaining humility served as an internal compass, guiding the company through expansion's exhilaration and economic turbulence alike. Far from derailing progress, these trials refined the model, proving that a culture rooted in people and principles could thrive even when broader conditions turned hostile. Sam Walton possessed an insatiable appetite for innovation, viewing it not as a luxury, but as an essential mechanism for survival and supremacy in the fiercely competitive retail landscape. He recognized early that maintaining low prices required constant efficiency gains, and he embraced technology with a pragmatism that belied his folksy, small-town persona. One of his most transformative early adoptions was the aggressive implementation of computer systems for inventory management. In the 1970s and 1980s, when many retailers still relied on manual ledgers or rudimentary systems, Walmart invested heavily in sophisticated data processing. By the mid-1970s, the company had leased advanced IBM mainframes and developed proprietary software to track stock levels in real time across its growing network of stores and distribution centers. "Data helps us serve customers better," Sam explained to his team, emphasizing that precise, timely information allowed Walmart to minimize overstock, reduce out-of-stocks, and respond swiftly to shifting demand patterns. This technological edge enabled unprecedented inventory turnover, often several times higher than industry averages, translating directly into lower costs and the ability to sustain everyday low prices without sacrificing profitability. Complementing this digital backbone were massive, strategically located distribution centers. Walmart pioneered a hub-and-spoke logistics model, constructing enormous facilities, often exceeding 1 million square feet, positioned to serve clusters of stores within a 200 to 300-mile radius. These centers featured state-of-the-art conveyor systems, automated sorting, and cross-docking techniques, where incoming goods were immediately transferred to outgoing trucks with minimal storage time. A private fleet of trucks ensured reliable, cost-effective delivery, bypassing third-party carriers and further compressing supply chain expenses. "This lets us beat the competition," Sam asserted, highlighting how these efficiencies created a formidable moat. Rivals struggled to match Walmart's speed and cost structure, particularly in rural markets, where transportation logistics posed greater challenges. In 1983, Sam launched another bold experiment, Sam's Club, a membership-based warehouse format designed for bulk purchasing. The first location opened on April 7, 1983, in Midwest City, Oklahoma, targeting small business owners, entrepreneurs, and value-conscious families willing to pay an annual fee for access to discounted, high-volume goods. Sam pitched the concept succinctly: bulk buying saves money. The model drew inspiration from earlier warehouse clubs like Price Club, co-founded by Sol Price, whose operations Sam had studied closely. But Walmart adapted it with its signature focus on operational simplicity, broad assortments, and relentless cost control. Sam's Clubs featured cavernous spaces with concrete floors, pallet-stacked merchandise, and minimal frills, allowing prices far below traditional retail. The format proved immensely successful, expanding rapidly and complementing the core Walmart stores by capturing higher-margin bulk sales while reinforcing the company's value proposition. Walmart's ambition soon extended beyond domestic borders. In 1991, the company made its first foray into international markets through a joint venture with Cifra, Mexico's leading retailer at the time. The initial step involved opening a Sam's Club in Mexico City, marking Walmart's debut outside the United States. This move was carefully calculated. Mexico's proximity to the U.S., growing middle class, and economic liberalization under reforms like NAFTA, which would follow in 1994, presented a natural extension of Walmart's model. Sam personally visited potential sites and collaborated with local partners to adapt the format, introducing elements suited to Mexican consumers while preserving core tenets like everyday low prices and efficient operations. The venture laid the foundation for what became Walmart de Mexico, Walmax, which grew to become the company's largest international division. By the time of Sam's passing, international expansion had begun in earnest, foreshadowing Walmart's eventual presence in 19 countries. Throughout this period of rapid innovation and growth, Sam confronted significant personal adversity. In the late 1980s, he was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, a form of blood cancer, following earlier treatment for hairy cell leukemia in the early 1980s. Despite grueling rounds of radiation therapy and chemotherapy, often requiring travel to specialized centers like MD Anderson in Houston, he refused to step back entirely. "Never give up," he told his team during company meetings and satellite broadcasts, embodying the resilience he demanded from the organization. His determination inspired associates. Even as his health declined, he continued visiting stores, offering guidance, and reinforcing the culture of persistence. In 1991, Walmart achieved a landmark milestone. It became the largest retailer in the United States by revenue, surpassing long-established giants like Sears and Kmart. With over 1,700 stores and sales exceeding $32 billion that fiscal year, the company had outgrown its regional roots to dominate national retail. Sam addressed a jubilant gathering of associates to mark the occasion. "We did it together," he declared. "Thanks to every associate who went the extra mile." This acknowledgement was genuine. Sam consistently credited the collective effort of his team, from truck drivers and warehouse workers to store greeters and managers, for the achievement. The milestone validated decades of disciplined innovation, leveraging data, optimizing logistics, experimenting with new formats like Sam's Club, and venturing internationally, all while adhering to foundational principles of low prices, customer focus, and associate empowerment. This era of Walmart's history demonstrates how innovation, when harnessed strategically and executed relentlessly, can overcome formidable odds. Sam's willingness to adopt cutting-edge tools, challenge conventional retail models, and push geographical boundaries, while personally confronting illness, transformed potential vulnerabilities into sources of strength. The company not only survived intense competition and economic cycles, but emerged as an industry leader, proving that sustained progress stems from a blend of technological foresight, operational excellence, and unyielding commitment to people and purpose. Sam Walton passed away on April 5, 1992, at the age of 74, succumbing to complications from multiple myeloma, a form of blood cancer that had been diagnosed in the late 1980s. His death occurred at the University of Arkansas Medical Sciences Hospital in Little Rock, following a period of hospitalization where he had been under treatment for more than a week. The news reverberated swiftly across the Walmart organization. It was relayed by satellite broadcast to all stores, ensuring that every associate, from the newest cashier to seasoned managers, received the announcement directly and promptly. At that moment, Walmart comprised over 1,735 Walmart discount stores, 212 Sam's Clubs, and a handful of emerging supercenters, with total employment approaching 380,000 associates and annual sales nearing $50 billion. These figures underscored the extraordinary scale the company had attained under Sam's guidance, transforming a single Arkansas variety store into a retail juggernaut that had redefined value-driven commerce across the United States. In the immediate aftermath, the company emphasized continuity. There were no abrupt shifts in leadership or strategy. Sam's successors, many of whom he had personally mentored, committed to preserving the core principles that had propelled Walmart's ascent. The Walton family retained substantial ownership, controlling a significant portion of the company's shares through various trusts and holdings, a structure that ensured long-term influence and alignment with the founder's vision. This familial continuity has endured. Even today, the Walton family remains among the wealthiest in the world, with their stake in Walmart underpinning one of the most enduring dynastic fortunes in American business history. Walmart's post-1992 trajectory has been one of relentless expansion and adaptation. What began as a regional chain focused on small-town America grew into a global enterprise. By the early 2020s, the company had solidified its position as the world's largest retailer by revenue, and as of early 2026, Walmart operates more than 10,800 stores and clubs across 19 countries, complemented by expansive e-commerce platforms. These include over 4,600 Walmart U.S. locations, approximately 600 Sam's Clubs in the United States, and more than 5,600 international units. The workforce exceeds 2.1 million associates globally, with roughly 270 million customers and members visiting weekly, either in physical stores or online. This vast network not only helps millions of households save money through everyday low prices, but also generates substantial employment opportunities and contributes to community support through philanthropy, disaster relief, and local sourcing initiatives. Walmart's influence extends far beyond commerce. It shapes supply chains, influences consumer behavior, and plays a role in debates about economic inequality, rural revitalization, and sustainable business practices. Central to understanding Sam's enduring impact is his 1992 autobiography, Made in America, My Story, co-authored with John Huey and published shortly before his death. The book, written in a direct conversational style that mirrors Sam's unpretentious personality, serves as both a memoir and a manifesto. In it, he candidly recounts his journey, candidly admits mistakes, such as the lease oversight in Newport, and articulates the philosophies that guided him. One of the most famous passages crystallizes his customer-centric worldview. There is only one boss, the customer, and he can fire everybody in the company from the chairman on down simply by spending his money somewhere else. This quote, delivered with characteristic bluntness, encapsulates the radical humility at the heart of Walmart's model. Ultimate power resides not in executives or shareholders, but in the everyday shopper, whose choices dictate survival and success. Near the end of his life, as illness advanced, Sam remained actively engaged with the company. In one poignant exchange captured in the narrative, a young manager approached him with a question that distilled the curiosity many felt about his achievements. "How do you build something so big?" Sam, ever the teacher, smiled and offered a succinct, actionable response. "Start small, treat people right, keep prices low, and never stop improving. Roll up your sleeves every day." This advice, simple yet profound, distills the essence of his legacy. It rejects the notion of overnight success or complex formulas in favor of persistent, principled effort. He emphasized starting modestly, building incrementally, prioritizing relationships with customers and associates alike, maintaining affordability, and embracing continuous improvement as a non-negotiable discipline. Sam's final days were marked by reflection as much as resolve. Having received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President George H.W. Bush on March 17, 1992, just weeks before his passing, he used the occasion to speak modestly about service, community, and the American dream. His illness did not diminish his hands-on spirit. He continued visiting stores when possible, offering encouragement and reinforcing the culture he had built. The legacy he left is multifaceted: a business empire that democratized access to goods for millions, a corporate culture that prized frugality and teamwork, and a personal example of humility amid extraordinary wealth. He drove an old truck, avoided extravagance, and insisted that success was a collective endeavor. "We did it together," he often said, rather than the triumph of one individual. In broader terms, Sam's story illustrates how a singular vision, grounded in practical values, can reshape an industry and touch countless lives. Walmart's ongoing role in helping people stretch their budgets, create jobs, and support communities worldwide stands as a living testament to his principles. Yet his influence transcends commerce. It serves as a reminder that enduring achievement often stems from consistency in fundamentals: hard work, fairness, customer focus, and a refusal to let success breed complacency. As one chapter closes with Sam's passing, the principles he championed continue to propel the company forward, proving that the seeds planted in a small Arkansas town can indeed grow into something truly global and transformative. Sam Walton's extraordinary journey from the backroads of rural Arkansas to the pinnacle of global retail offers a masterclass in the fundamentals of sustainable success. What stands out most strikingly is not the sheer magnitude of Walmart's achievement, nor the billions in revenue or millions of associates employed, but the simplicity and consistency of the principles that underpinned it all. Sam demonstrated through decades of deliberate action that profound business and personal accomplishment frequently arises not from convoluted strategies or extravagant resources, but from a disciplined adherence to straightforward, human-centered values. At the core of his philosophy lay an unwavering belief in the power of hard work. Sam never romanticized success. He viewed it as the predictable outcome of consistent, unglamorous effort. From his boyhood newspaper routes and milking cows before sunrise to his later years of crisscrossing the country in an old pickup truck to visit stores, he embodied the conviction that progress demands rolling up one's sleeves day after day. This ethic permeated the entire organization. Associates were encouraged to approach every task, whether stocking shelves, unloading trucks, or greeting customers, with the same sense of ownership and urgency that Sam himself displayed. In an era increasingly dominated by short-term thinking and quick wins, Sam's insistence on sustained diligence served as a quiet rebuke to the notion that greatness could be achieved through shortcuts. Equally fundamental was his profound respect for listening to customers. Sam treated the customer not as a passive recipient of goods and services, but as the ultimate authority, the one true boss whose preferences, complaints, and choices determined the fate of every employee, manager, and executive. This customer is boss mindset manifested in countless practical ways. Obsessive price monitoring to ensure Walmart remained the lowest cost option, meticulous attention to shelf availability so that popular items were never out of stock, and a willingness to adapt offerings based on direct feedback gathered in stores. By placing the customer at the center of every decision, Sam created a self-reinforcing cycle. Satisfied shoppers returned more often, spent more, and recommended Walmart to others, fueling organic growth that no advertising budget could replicate. Perhaps the most distinctive element of Sam's approach, however, was his genuine care for the people who made the enterprise possible, his associates. In an industry notorious for high turnover, low wages, and impersonal management, Walmart, under Sam, cultivated an unusually strong sense of belonging. He shared profits through stock purchase plans and bonuses, listened attentively to frontline suggestions, many of which were implemented company-wide, and fostered a culture where titles mattered less than contribution. Treat others right was not mere corporate rhetoric for Sam. It was a daily practice. He shook hands with cashiers, remembered names, asked about families, and publicly acknowledged individual efforts. This relational investment paid dividends in loyalty, morale, and institutional knowledge, qualities that helped Walmart weather economic downturns, competitive pressures, and rapid expansion far more effectively than many better-resourced rivals.
The narrative of Sam's life also underscores the critical importance of humility amid achievement. Even as Walmart grew into a colossus and his personal wealth placed him among the richest individuals in the world, Sam steadfastly refused the trappings of status. He continued driving the same battered red pickup truck, wore inexpensive clothing, stayed in budget motels during business travel, and avoided the ostentatious lifestyle that often accompanies extraordinary success. Stay humble, he counseled repeatedly, recognizing that arrogance breeds complacency, alienates colleagues, and blinds one to emerging threats. His grounded demeanor served as a powerful cultural signal within the company. If the founder could remain unpretentious, then no one else had an excuse for pretension. This humility preserved Walmart's agility and kept decision-making close to the realities of everyday customers and associates. From one modest variety store in a small Arkansas town to a global retail powerhouse operating in dozens of countries and touching hundreds of millions of lives weekly, Sam's trajectory illustrates a timeless truth. Big things most reliably emerge from small, consistent beginnings. He did not set out to build the world's largest company overnight. Instead, he focused on perfecting one store, then replicating that success thoughtfully in the next town and the next state, always learning, always refining, always prioritizing value and people over flash. The journey was incremental, deliberate, and rooted in principles that any individual or organization can adopt. Start small, keep prices or costs low, treat people right, go the extra mile when it matters, and never stop improving. These lessons transcend retail. They apply equally to personal endeavors, whether learning a new skill, launching a venture, or navigating career challenges. Sam's example shows that extraordinary outcomes do not require genius-level intellect or privileged starting conditions. They demand clarity of purpose, persistence through setbacks, genuine care for others, and the discipline to remain true to core values even when success tempts one to astray. In an age of disruption, hype, and fleeting trends, the story of this humble giant reminds us that enduring impact is built through quiet consistency rather than dramatic gestures. Sam Walton's legacy is not merely a corporate success story. It is a testament to the enduring power of principled simplicity. By starting small, listening intently, treating others with fairness and respect, and maintaining humility in triumph, he created something far greater than a business. He built an enduring model of how human effort, guided by integrity, can transform lives on a massive scale. His life invites reflection. In our own pursuits, are we willing to roll up our sleeves, keep it simple, treat others right, and stay humble long enough for greatness to unfold? Just as Sam Walton constructed the Walmart empire by beginning with modest means, adhering to straightforward principles, and consistently placing the customer at the absolute center of every decision, you too can construct your own path to English fluency using remarkably similar strategies. The parallels are both striking and empowering. Monumental achievements rarely materialize through sudden, dramatic leaps. They emerge gradually, through persistent small actions compounded over time, guided by discipline, patience, and a genuine commitment to improvement. Consider how Sam started. One unassuming variety store in a quiet Arkansas town. No grand headquarters, no vast advertising budget, no guarantee of success. He focused relentlessly on the fundamentals, keeping prices low, treating every customer with warmth and respect, going the extra mile to ensure satisfaction, and rolling up his sleeves to solve problems as they arose. Each day built upon the last. Each satisfied shopper became an advocate. Each efficient operation freed resources for the next modest expansion. The result was not an overnight sensation, but a steady, inexorable ascent to global dominance. Your journey toward confident natural English follows the same incremental logic. Begin today with the basics, short, manageable conversations in everyday situations, ordering coffee, chatting with a colleague, describing your day. Do not wait for perfect conditions or flawless grammar. Start small, just as Sam did with that first Bentonville 5 and dime. Commit to consistent practice. Dedicate even 10 or 15 minutes extra daily to listening to podcasts, reading articles, or speaking aloud. This is where you go the extra mile, not in heroic, exhausting marathons, but in the quiet accumulation of effort that others might overlook. Treat your learning process with the same kindness and fairness that Sam extended to his associates and customers. Mistakes are inevitable. They are not failures, but valuable data points, much like the lessons Sam drew from losing his Newport store or navigating economic downturns. When you stumble over pronunciation, misuse a tense, or forget a word, do not berate yourself. Instead, treat yourself right. Analyze what went wrong. Adjust your approach, and move forward with encouragement rather than self-criticism. View your progress as a team effort. Your conscious mind, your subconscious absorption, your daily habits all working together toward a shared goal. Celebrate small victories. The first time you understand a film without subtitles, sustain a conversation beyond small talk, or express a complex idea clearly. These moments compound, just as one happy Walmart customer told 10 more. Incorporate the very phrases Sam lived by into your daily mindset and routine. When you catch yourself hesitating to speak because you fear imperfection, remind yourself that the customer is boss. In this case, the real-world situations and people you wish to communicate with. They value clarity, effort, and authenticity far more than error-free performance. When motivation dips or progress feels slow, roll up your sleeves and tackle the next small task, reviewing vocabulary, shadowing a native speaker, or writing a short paragraph. When you notice opportunities to practice more deeply, striking up a conversation with a stranger, joining a language exchange, or explaining something complex in English, go the extra mile. These extra efforts, though they may feel insignificant in the moment, are precisely what separates steady improvement from stagnation. Stay humble throughout the process. Fluency, like Sam's wealth, can bring a quiet confidence,
but never let it breed complacency or arrogance. Even advanced speakers continue learning. New idioms emerge, accents shift, cultural nuances deepen. Embrace the lifelong nature of language acquisition with the same grounded perspective Sam maintained amid billions in revenue. Success is not a destination that allows one to stop. It is a posture of continuous curiosity and refinement. Your English dream is not an unattainable fantasy reserved for the naturally gifted or those with unlimited time and resources. It is entirely possible, one deliberate, consistent step at a time. Sam Walton proved that starting small, keeping it simple, treating others and yourself right, and refusing to give up can transform modest beginnings into something extraordinary. Apply these same truths to your learning. Practice daily. Seek out real interactions. Learn from setbacks without dwelling on them, and measure progress not by perfection, but by persistence. Thank you sincerely for joining me on this inspiring exploration of Sam Walton's life and the rise of Walmart. If his journey, rooted in humility, hard work, customer focus, and unwavering determination, has sparked motivation within you, please give this a thumbs up, subscribe for more stories of builders and innovators told through English, and share your reflections in the comments below. What aspect of Sam's philosophy resonates most with your own goals? How might you go the extra mile in your English practice this week? Next time, we will perhaps dive into another remarkable builder, maybe Kiichiro Toyota, and the story of how Toyota revolutionized the automotive world through an obsessive commitment to quality, continuous improvement, kaizen, and respect for people. Until then, keep rolling up your sleeves, keep learning English with purpose and patience, and remember this simple, powerful truth. The biggest achievements in life almost always begin small, grow through consistency, and endure because of character. See you soon. Keep building. Your fluency is already taking shape.